Well, good morning and welcome back to the Bold Vision podcast. In this edition of the Military Construction Safety Mindset Minute, with me again today is my partner, Scott Wuestner, the owner of Centurion Construction Management Solutions. Good morning, Scott, and welcome back.
Hey, thanks, Sonia. Another beautiful day. Back in the day, we used to call it was a great day to be in the Army.
I bet. I'm sure those were the good old days.
Yes, they were. It was a great experience with a lot of amazing people.
I bet. So today we're just going to jump on the topic of risk analysis. Risk analysis takes many forms, in the construction industry and covers many levels. So what is your focus today, Scott?
Well, today, what I really like to do is focus at the tactical level, or what we call the individual level, for both our military and construction vignette here today. So, risk analysis. In the Army is critical and is practiced every single day. And leaders and soldiers at every level conduct risk assessments using a process called identify, assess, control, implement, and supervise methodology. And it's very similar to what we see in the construction industry with our risk hazard analysis. But this framework applies to every single thing that is done in the military. So for me, it was morning physical training in Alaska at -30, which we did a risk assessment for. It's cold at -30 doing PT outside, and then everything to include our live fire training. And it's very interesting. I'm not sure if our audience knows, but to do a live fire training in our Army, it's a long and drawn out process. And it starts basically, you have to have your individual qualifications, your crew serve weapon qualifications, and you have to do a day dry exercise where you walk through how you're going to attack a target. And then you do a day blank fire where you have blanks and you're walking through that exercise you're executing, and then you do your a day live fire exercise, and then you recock it once it gets dark out. You do basically a night walkthrough, then you do a night blank fire, and then you do a night live fire. And every single one of those iterations, basically you do an after action review after each iteration, covering both risk and your performance topics. So all that is done to standard every single time. And I think there's a direct correlation from that military vignette to construction. And I think everybody here is very, familiar with USACE and what USACE and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, they prescribe an activity hazard analysis to be completed for all field operations before you conduct that task. So again, just like in the Army, that's what you're trying to do for everyone for each of those maybe definable features of work, or each one of those tasks that you're conducting every day that are high risk. So today's companies, you guys all do pre-task planning, job safety analysis, job hazard analysis, and there's various ways to track and manage it. Some guys using dry erase boards and all those different things. Well, it's Safety Armor offers you the ability to take pictures of those dry erase boards and attach it to the line that you're conducting that job hazard analysis. But what is a unique feature here, and we think is a unique edge, is that every single one of the safety officers can create standard templates for all of their job hazard analysis. And then when you go to a project, each one of those safety officers or superintendents or foremen can then take those templates and place them in use, and then change your conditions or hazards as they exist, and then they can be modified within less than 5 minutes. So you're meeting the requirement for the required paperwork. You then can use it to review it with your folks on the ground. And what is also significant there is that as you execute, Smartsheet tracks the version control for each submission. So as you go through and make changes to that specific task, you can see if you're on a job site for 30 days and there are only 2 versions of your JHA, your people are going to be able to see that. And now, folks are going to ask questions of the project safety officer, the superintendent, or the foreman, whoever's filling that out and covering it every single day. So it becomes a very good way to track and monitor the compliance of your folks. The other part about it is, as well, is the corporate safety office. They could be 6 states away. They could just spend a morning going through all the job hazard analysis and do a quality control check on each one of them and see how people are doing, filling out the paperwork and making sure those things are to standard. So again, they're back into the safety business versus being in the paperwork business. So we think, again, it's a great way for folks to ensure that they're doing the right things and doing the right things right as they move forward.
No, I agree. Well, Scott, I mean, and those are some very unique capabilities, and that will definitely, make folks on the ground more efficient and more effective. So we appreciate you sharing that with us today. And until next time, everyone, thanks for watching our Construction Safety Mindset Minute.
Thanks, everyone.